So we are on the third day of shots for the 5th round of IVF, and you are 9 shots deep.
Yeah, 9 shots deep. Did my shots this morning. We have 3. I have 3 this evening. Bring us to 12, but as of now, 9er. There are women who, when going through IVF, they go through all of the treatment and they get their ultrasounds, and on those ultrasounds the doctors see follicles, and because doctors never actually see the eggs, they're microscopic, so they look for follicle sizes, and follicle size and typically means that there's a mature egg in there if it gets to a certain point. There are these women that go and doctors see everything that they are supposed to see, and then they go on in the day of retrieval and there are no eggs inside of the follicles. So that is not my problem. I do not have an issue with that. But for women that do have that problem, they are actually given the human growth hormone to help stimulate bring out the eggs. So my doctor pretty much said, this is not your problem. I don't know if this will do anything for you, but it won't hurt. So in my mind, I was like, well, yeah, let's take that on. So it's an additional shot that I take at night, and I think it goes about halfway through the process. To be honest, it makes me feel better that we're doing something a little bit different. We did that actually between the 2nd and the 3rd round as well. So the first 2 rounds sort of did the same type of regimen, and then it was the 3rd round that our doctor made it a little bit more aggressive, and we had really good results with that. So it makes me feel better that we're not just doing the same thing and expecting the same and different results. In addition to that, previous to starting my injections, I actually had started taking acai berry supplements, and I started this maybe about 6 weeks ago. There's been some studies that showed that maybe that will help actually, once they fertilize, actually keeping them, having them actually last the week. I have no idea, again, if that will actually make a difference, but it's something that I'm willing to try because I'm really willing to try anything. So I actually stopped those though once the injection started. So I stopped those on the last one I took was on Thursday. So now it's just injections, and so I do about 2 in the morning and 3 at night. Then I go in on Tuesday and they start, sort of monitoring me through blood and ultrasound. So right now I'm feeling good. I'm not, really no physical changes, nothing like that. I don't think I have hormonal changes.
Although we don't know what's gonna happen with the HGH.
I know.
How that might affect her, but it's probably a good bet that she's gonna get maybe a
short-term contract with the Astros.
Yeah, she's gonna, start hitting home runs, and then it's inevitable the countdown until she gets pulled in front of Congress to testify about steroid use in baseball. I really wanted to try to come up with anything on my end that I could do to help us give us a better chance at success. I have horrible sleep apnea, and a couple years ago I was actually also diagnosed with narcolepsy that Emily likes to mock me by just exactly like that, acting like she is falling asleep.
It's a serious condition.
Actually, in 2017, I guess it was about October, I was put on this medication that helps me sleep each night. And so I've been on that, and it really has helped. But I was taking it during the 4th round of IVF, whereas I was not taking it during the first 3 rounds. And I had asked my doctor, and my sleep doctor had told me, no, there's no evidence that shows that has any sort of effect. But where we are at this point in the process, I am not taking any chances. So I am off that medication. I am not sleeping all that well, but it almost feels good in a sense to be contributing to this whole endeavor.
We've talked about this. We have no control over anything, right? We don't have a say in the eggs that get chosen. We don't have a say in the sperm that gets chosen. We don't have a say in anything. So it's these little things that we try and hold on to that maybe give us a little control. So, right, even though there's no evidence that Brent's medication affects anything to do with this, it gives us a sense of control that we've made a decision.
I've also been doing acupuncture. I have been going twice a week. The one thing that has been a little bit funny about it is the different teas and herbs that they have given me. It seems like each time that I go that they say, oh, you need to take this herb because it's going to help your stress levels, or here's this tea that you have to drink for the next 5 days because it's going to help your sleep. I hope that they're helping. I have no idea if they are, but really after the first or second time they sold these supplements to me, the next time I was like, I took this real hardline stance going into the appointment. In my head I was like, no tea, no herbs. I don't care what they say. I don't care what they tell me, how it's going to help me. No tea, no herbs. Then I go to check out and they have this bottle of tea for me to take for the next week that is going to help me sleep better and have better dreams. And I fall for it every time.
They're like the Elizabeth Warren of tea. There's a plan for that. There's a tea for that.
I think you compared it to like trying to quit the gym. It's
Yeah.
like you, in your mind, you're saying like, this is the day I am ending my contract, and you go in and you can never follow through. And that's how I've been each time. And I think that they ultimately get me to shell out more for these supplements, because it's like I am just totally in the mindset of anything and everything that I can do to get us better results, I'm willing to do.
So one thing that I wanted to do a little bit differently, actually, Brent was really the one that sort of pinpointed it, was, we've been really focused on the quantity of eggs that we get. And that's because so many of mine are not good that we need the quantity to sort of get good ones. But we actually decided to change our focus a little bit this time. And we actually really want to focus on the quality of the eggs in general, because look, it only takes one. We need one good embryo, and that one could come in a pool of 19, it could come in a pool of 12, it could come in a pool of 2. We just need one. Rather than sort of get bogged down with worrying about the number and then the day of the retrieval, sort of bracing ourselves for the preliminary number that they're going to give us, I just want to focus all of my energy on having the quality of my eggs be what we really want to focus on, and the energy that we sort of want to send. I have good eggs in there. Now, I have some bad ones in there as well, but I have good ones in there. And so I think that if we can sort of harness our energy towards them, again, none of this is going to hurt, and it'll help with the mindset. And I think that this also sort of helps us for the day of the retrieval, being able to deal with whatever number we're given. One of the things that's been really helpful is we've been crowdsourcing our songs to dance to, and for me to do my shots to, and that has been really helpful. You guys have come up with fantastic suggestions, and honestly, we just put it on shuffle every time. They've come up quite often, like more than the songs that we picked, so we feel like that's a really good sign. So chances are, if you give us a recommendation, it's going to be played, because that's been the majority of the songs we've been listening to, which has been awesome, so keep them coming. So last time we spoke, I was talking to you guys about what it was that I wanted to channel this time. Last time I wanted to do a blowfish because they blowed up, and that's what I wanted to do, because when I had in the past, I got a lot of eggs. So I thought that that was sort of what I wanted to work towards. But then I started to think about what it is I was actually trying to achieve, realizing it was sort of needing to be egg focused, and then actually even taking it a step farther and wanting actually to end up with a baby at the end. And so I started to do a little bit of research, and I found out that rabbits, not only a sign of fertility, but the reason that they're a sign of fertility is because they have the ability to produce multiple offspring at any given time, like during their pregnancy. So they can actually have like up to 7 babies or 7 bunnies, and then they can do that actually throughout their life. So the moment that a rabbit actually gives birth, she's able to get pregnant again. And they do this throughout their entire life. So they have this like amazing cycle and produce just this incredible amount of offspring. And so I thought that was actually a really cool way to look at it, because it's really actually not just about my eggs. It's not just about our embryos, because it's really about the end result, because we've had good embryos before, and unfortunately those haven't worked out. So I really wanted to think about, like, what is it that we ultimately want? And ultimately we want offspring. And so what better animal to channel than this animal that can do it, you know, throughout their entire lives, that they produce multiples, and also are a sign of fertility. My body is going to morph over the next 2 weeks. So I also sort of wanted to think about like a good, positive, you know, funny sort of message to get my body prepared. And my mom, who, this is a shout out to her, she's the best, actually came up with a great idea. She goes, if you want it to be egg focused, why instead of this time you bloating up like a blowfish, you rise like a souffle? So I thought that was genius. I'm not making this a rabbit souffle because I'd like the rabbit to make it to the end, but I'm gonna channel sort of the rabbit's fertility and then hope to rise like a souffle.
Thank you for watching, and please subscribe at brentstoller.com.
So here's to that. Watch me rise. That's a terrible ending. Don't put that one in.